and we'll be referring to as the demon of lust. Amen. And so I wanted to share, amen, both in terms of how I dealt with that and how God delivered me. And in sharing and praying to God, I said, Lord, what is, I know that I'm going to share, this story about how you've delivered me, but I want to give it in the manner that you would have me to share it. So I said, Lord, what is the goal of this confession and the lesson? And so God just quickly and very speedily gave me, he said, well, first of all, your goal is that I might receive all the glory for my ability to deliver. Amen. That is goal number one of sharing this. Amen. That I might receive, God said that I might receive all the glory for my ability to deliver. And then secondly, he said that someone going through either the same struggle or a similar struggle might be encouraged that they too can be delivered. That they too can be delivered. We all are going through something. We all grapple with something. It may not be the demon of lust, but as Pastor Crismon talked about, and I'm going to make reference to his message, he preached a few years ago called You Can Be Delivered from Your Demons. He talked about that in all of our lives we have a demon in our experience. Now, that doesn't mean in terms of we are possessed necessarily, but in terms of we all deal, amen, with their attacks on us and in our lives. So if someone's going through a similar struggle, they can be encouraged that they too can be delivered. Third is to show the reality of the destruction of sin. The reality of the destruction of sin. Amen. We're not playing with a play pretty in Satan. And sometimes we can have a nonchalant attitude that Satan is just some person in a red costume with a pitchfork and a curly tail. Amen. But he's out there in the world, the Bible said, walking about seeking whom he may devour. And he's devouring us, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is look on the news and see he's trying to wreak havoc in the lives and families and marriages, over our children, over our finances, over our health. In every area, he's attacking. Amen. And we've got to recognize he's not some play pretty. He's not someone to be trifled with. Amen. But we got to recognize that he's coming and his purpose is stated clear. He comes not but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Fourthly, God said, I want you to share a God-centered strategy for those who are desiring to overcome. And so that's what we're going to be doing really even more so this afternoon than today's message. God told me to break it up, and this morning we'll be dealing with a little bit more of inspiration, because sometimes when you're going through, you need to be lifted and know that God is able to lift you from that condition, from that struggle. Amen. And then this afternoon we're going to be sharing 5 keys to overcoming, amen, the addiction to lust. And then fifthly, he said that souls may petition God today for help with whatever demon they are grappling with. Amen. That souls may petition God today for help with whatever demon they are grappling with. It may be pride. It may be arrogance. It may be, amen, stinginess. It may be meanness. It may be, amen, gossiping. Amen. But we all are dealing with something. Amen. And we want to make sure that we all get delivered. From Mark, the 5th chapter, St. Mark, the 5th chapter, looking at verses 1 through 15. St. Mark, chapter 5, verses 1 through 15. And when you have that, please signify by standing. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled, and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Jesus, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion, sitting and clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. May God add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his holy word. God, we ask that you anoint this word that you are sharing through your vessel on today. Let your word go forth, oh God. Let the testimony be shared, oh God, of how you delivered this man. How do you deliver your servant, oh God, and how you're able to deliver each and every person, oh God, that's grappling with some struggle from our enemy, Satan. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight, my strength and my redeemer. Amen. Amen. I would repeat my subject for this morning after me. God can and he will deliver us from our demons. I want to talk to you from the thought, God can and he will deliver us from our demons. As we look at this text, we see a man who had been suffering with an unclean or demonic spirit for some time. We understand this better as we read the text. For verse 3 indicates that instead of living in a residential community or apartment complex, this man had his dwelling among the tombs. I visited a tomb for some time. I have heard of some people staying at a gravesite for hours at a time. But normally, most people do not take an overnight bag and toothbrush with them to the graveyard. We must understand that the picture of this man that we catch a glimpse of in Mark chapter 5 is not the complete story of his life. He probably lived a life that was normal for that time. He likely had a profession or occupation that filled his days during the week. Perhaps he enjoyed weekend walks along the seacoast with his friends. This man of Gadara may have even been married with a loving and affectionate family of his own. We do not receive the benefit of the background of this Gadarene citizen. His life is immortalized in this text, not for what accomplishments he had achieved, but rather displaying the reality of the power and the perversion of our enemy, Satan. Everyone will not be controlled by the enemy and his demonic forces in the same fashion as this man was. Satan's approach is often subtle. However, his demonic forces can also be bold as they were in this man. For Satan, his approach usually depends upon the nature of our weaknesses. As I will share from my struggle with the demon of lust, his approach to me was more secretive. Whatever his approach, his goal never changes. John 10:10 states, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. It is important to understand what a demon is as we examine a text of a man that was possessed by up to 2,000 demons. A demon is a fallen angel. When Satan abided in heaven, he was called Lucifer. When he chose to rebel against God, he took about a third of the angels in heaven with him. And you can look and see this recorded in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 15. When the rebellion failed, because it did fail, God cast Lucifer and the angels that were in cohorts with him out of heaven. Those angels are now demons. And just as angels can ascend to the heights of spirituality, they can protect us, they can guard us, amen, they can reveal things to us. Demons are capable of reaching the depths of hatred and bitterness and perversion. Demons torment people, possess them, and lead them from God and his truth. So they don't just possess. And sometimes we kind of think of the idea of demons with poltergeists and all of these different movies out there. Amen. A demon doesn't have to